You are sitting in a quiet room, looking at your phone. You check the time, put the phone down, and stare at the wall for what feels like an eternity. When you check the screen again, only 3 minutes have passed. But the real answer is far stranger than a simple moment of boredom. Your brain is not just waiting. It is actively warping the fabric of your reality because it feels completely alone. Deep inside your skull, you carry a highly sophisticated biological clock that has been ticking for hundreds of thousands of years. This clock does not rely on gears or digital displays. Instead, it relies on a complex network of neurons that measure the steady rhythm of the world around you. For your ancient ancestors, that rhythm was dictated by the rising sun, the changing seasons, and most importantly, the constant presence of other humans. You survived in tribes, hunted in groups, and slept in tightly packed shelters. Your very existence depended on your connection to the collective. Because of this, your internal clock became deeply synchronized with social interaction. When you are surrounded by people, talking, sharing experiences, and reading body language, your brain processes a massive, steady stream of external data. This social data acts like an anchor, keeping your perception of time perfectly aligned with reality. But what happens when you remove that anchor? In 1962, a French geologist named Michel Siffre decided to find out by conducting one of the most extreme isolation experiments in human history. He descended into a deep, subterranean ice cave, completely cut off from the outside world. He had no watch, no calendar, no sun, and absolutely no human contact. He simply lived, ate, and slept whenever his body told him to. To the outside world, Siffre spent exactly 2 months in total darkness and isolation. But when his team finally called him on a field telephone to tell him the experiment was over, Siffre was profoundly shocked. He genuinely believed it was only the middle of the following month. His brain had completely dropped 25 entire days from his reality. The complete absence of human connection and natural cycles had caused his internal clock to slow down to a crawl. To him, hours felt like minutes, and days stretched out into endless expanses. Decades later, researcher Dr. Mark Whitman at the Institute for Frontier Areas of Psychology and Mental Health expanded on this strange phenomenon. He discovered that our perception of time is intrinsically tied to our emotional state and our sense of self. When you are alone for extended periods, the lack of external social stimuli forces your brain to turn inward. You become hyper-aware of your own thoughts, your own heartbeat, and your own physical presence. This hyper-focus on the self creates an internal processing loop. Because your brain is no longer receiving a steady stream of shared human experiences to mark the passage of time, it begins to count its own internal states instead. Every heartbeat feels louder. Every passing thought feels longer. The result is a profound cognitive illusion where time stretches out like rubber. Your evolutionary biology views isolation not as a peaceful break, but as an existential threat. To an early human, being separated from the tribe meant certain death at the hands of predators or the elements. Therefore, when you are isolated, your brain enters a subtle, low-level state of survival panic. Dr. John Cacioppo, a pioneer in the field of social neuroscience, demonstrated that loneliness activates the same cellular defense mechanisms as physical pain or chronic stress. This heightened state of alertness floods your system with cortisol and puts your neural networks on high alert. When you are in survival mode, your brain processes information at an accelerated rate to detect potential dangers. Because you are processing more pieces of internal data per second, the external world appears to slow down to a crawl. A single hour in an empty apartment can feel longer than a whole afternoon spent laughing with friends, because your brain is treating that lonely hour as a dangerous trial of survival. This brings us to a counterintuitive twist in the modern digital age. You might think that because you have constant access to social media, messaging apps, and video calls, your brain never truly feels isolated. But your evolutionary hardware cannot be fooled by pixels on a screen. True social synchronization requires physical presence, shared environments, the subtle reading of microexpressions, and the subconscious alignment of behavior. When you spend hours scrolling through feeds alone in your bedroom, you are experiencing a strange paradox. Your eyes are consuming information about other people, but your physical body is entirely solitary. Your brain recognizes this mismatch. It registers the physical isolation, activates the ancient survival mechanisms, and begins to distort your perception of time anyway. You find yourself trapped in a loop where the day slips away in a blur of digital noise. Yet individual moments of stillness feel agonizingly long and hollow. This ancient truth mirrors exactly how you navigate your daily life today. Think about the last time you stood in a long line, sat in a doctor's waiting room, or spent a rainy weekend completely by yourself without any plans. The heavy weight of those minutes is not a flaw in your psychology. It is the direct voice of your ancestors, echoing through your biology, reminding you that your mind was never built to exist in a vacuum. Your brain stretches time when you are alone to force you to seek out connection, to drive you back to the safety of the group, and to ensure your survival. So the next time you look at the clock and wonder why the afternoon is dragging so slowly, remember that your brain is simply missing its anchor. You are experiencing the deep, prehistoric necessity of human connection. The hours feel long because you are human, and humans were never meant to track the passage of time all by themselves.